Have you ever snapped over something so small that afterwards you sat there wondering, why did I react like that? Maybe it was your wife asking one more question after a long day. Maybe it was your kids arguing in the back seat. Maybe someone at work made one comment. Or maybe you just couldn't find your keys. And suddenly, you're yelling. Your heart is racing. Your jaw is tight. You know you're overreacting. But in that moment, it feels impossible to stop. If you found yourself thinking, that's not the man I want to be, my friend, this episode's for you. Because today we're not talking about anger. We're talking about what's underneath. And I think you'll discover that your anger, it isn't the real problem. It's the warning light on the dashboard. I don't think most men are actually angry. I think they're exhausted. They're carrying pressure they never talk about. Responsibility they never set down. Expectations they believe they have to meet. They spend all day solving problems, making decisions, providing, holding everything together. And then eventually, the pressure has to escape somewhere. The problem is, it usually escapes onto the people that they love the most. That's why a man can be patient with customers all day long, patient with coworkers, patient with even complete strangers. But the moment he walks through his front door, the fuse gets short. And it's not because the family's the problem, but because home is the only place his nervous system finally stops pretending it's okay. Think about that. The people you love the most often receive the version of you that's carrying everything you've refused to deal with. Not because you love them less, but because you're running out of emotional capacity. Most men believe that anger comes from what's happening around them. Someone disrespected me. Someone interrupted me. Someone didn't listen. Someone made my day harder. But my friend, that's rarely where anger begins. Anger usually begins long before the explosion. It starts with months, sometimes years of things left unsolved. Stress, disappointment, fear, loneliness, feeling like you're failing, feeling like nobody notices how hard you're trying, feeling like no matter what you do, it still isn't enough. These emotions, my friend, don't disappear. They pile up. And anger becomes the lid holding everything underneath. Because for most men, anger feels safer than sadness. Safer than fear. Safer than admitting, I'm overwhelmed. Here's something that changed the way I look at anger. Anger is often a secondary emotion. It shows up to protect something more valuable underneath. Think about that. When someone cuts you off in traffic, is it really traffic? Or is it that you're already overwhelmed? When your child spills milk, is it really the milk? Or are you mentally carrying 20 other things? When your wife asks, hey, can we talk? Is it really the conversation? Or are you terrified she'll discover how empty you feel inside? My friend, anger becomes the bodyguard. It steps in before anything softer gets exposed. And if you only fight the anger, you'll never heal what's underneath it. One of the biggest mistakes I see men make is trying to become calmer through discipline. They tell themselves, I need to be more in control. I need to count to 10. I need to better do deeper breathing. And you know what? Those things help. But they don't solve the source. It's like putting tape over your check engine light. Yep, the light disappears, but the engine didn't get fixed. My friend, your anger is information. It's trying to tell you something. The question isn't, how do I stop getting angry? The better question is, what is this anger trying to protect? And that's a completely different conversation. Now, I've worked with men and I've noticed something. The short fuses often belong to the man carrying the heaviest invisible load. The husband trying to be perfect. The father trying to provide. The employee trying not to fail. The son trying to make everyone proud. Now, the man who spent years believing his worth comes from what he produces, eventually that pressure becomes unbearable. And every little inconvenience feels enormous. Not because it is, but because you're already operating at 99% capacity. Now, one tiny thing pushes you over 100, and then you explode. This is why I talk so much about living disconnected from yourself. Because when you're disconnected, you stop noticing what's inside you. You don't notice the stress building. You don't notice the resentment growing. You don't notice the exhaustion. You just keep pushing until your body forces you to pay attention. Sometimes through anger, sometimes through anxiety, sometimes through burnout. Your emotions, my friend, they're not your enemy. They're your communication system. Ignore them long enough, and eventually they're going to get louder. So let me ask you 3 questions. Not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. Question number 1. When do I become most reactive? Are you at work? Are you tired? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel disrespected? Do you feel out of control? Because, my friend, patterns matter. And when you catch that pattern, that's when you can understand it. Now, question number 2. What emotion usually shows up before my anger? Disappointment, fear, embarrassment, shame, maybe feeling unseen. Slow down enough to notice. And then question number 3 is, what need have I ignored for far too long? Rest, connection, an honest conversation, time alone, time with God. The answer might surprise you. Now, I want to say something that I think every man needs to hear. Having anger doesn't mean you're a bad man. Ignoring it doesn't make you a strong man. Understanding it, my friend, this is where strength begins. Real strength isn't pretending you never struggle. Real strength is having the courage to ask, what is actually happening inside me? Because the goal, my friend, isn't becoming emotionless. The goal is becoming aware. And awareness, it gives you a choice. Reaction takes that choice away. This week, I want to challenge you. Now, the next time you feel that familiar heat rising, don't immediately ask, how do I stop this? Pause. Take one breath and then ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Not what happened, but what am I feeling? You might discover that underneath your anger is disappointment, is fear, is loneliness, even exhaustion, or simply a man who's been carrying too much for too long. That's where healing starts. Not from fighting the emotion, by listening to what it's telling you. Now, my friend, if today's conversation resonated with you, I want you to remember this. Your anger is probably not the problem. It's your biggest clue. So stop treating it like an enemy. Start treating it like a messenger. Because when you understand the message, you stop fighting yourself. And you finally begin to become the man you've been trying to be all along. Thank you for spending time with me again today. And if this episode helped you, share it with another man who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to stop living on autopilot and reconnect with yourself, your family, and your purpose, I'd love to invite you to join us inside the Connected Brotherhood. But until next time, trust yourself. You got this.